Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm at Loudham Leisure World near Nottingham, where I've been testing out this latest 2022 season model from Chausson, the French manufacturer that's part of the Trigano group. Now, this range is brand new this season. It's the S-Line range. Comes with two models, this 514 and a longer 697 model that has single beds at the back. This one is very cute and petite at 5.99 metres long, crucially the same length as a long wheelbase Fiat Ducato panel van. And that's because partly this range is designed to compete with panel van conversions. But it's also designed to compete where buyers might otherwise have been looking at late used motorhomes, because pre-owned stock in the market is currently in very, very short supply. With so many new people coming into the camper van and motorhome world, they haven't been bringing the usual trade-ins and dealers are short of stock. So an alternative, rather than buying a late used vehicle, is to buy a brand new one, like this budget priced Chausson. Budget priced? Yes, this vehicle starts at around £47,000. This one's got a couple of options on it, taking it up to 51 or thereabouts, but it's still a compact, well-priced motorhome. And it's unique in its sector in being based on the Ford Transit. It's also, unlike most Chausson models, only available in first-line trim, which is Chausson's entry-level equipment level. Now, to me, the Ford Transit cab is a big plus, and I'll come on to that when we take this little baby out for a drive. But not only is it short, this S514, but it's also quite narrow, just 2.1 metres wide, or 5 centimetres wider than that Fiat Ducato panel van again. So really van conversion size, and you can see that when you look down the side of the vehicle and see how it's just a smidge wider than the Ford cab. But you can also see that this is an entry-level model. No painted bumpers, no alloy wheels, no window in the habitation door, no over-cab sunroof. But it's not all about keeping the price down. There are some nice features too. Now, at this price point, I wouldn't have expected these nice framed habitation windows. I'd have expected to see the normal sort of caravan-style windows that sit proud of the bodywork and really don't look quite so nice. And also, you might have thought that Chausson would have left out their Technibox. Well, no, here it is. So you've got 100 litres fresh water tank inboard, great for winterisation. Now you just pull out the filler like that, so you're not splashing into the vehicle when you fill up. You've got your drain tap there as well, and an inspection cap for cleaning if you're laying up the vehicle for the winter. Then on the other side, with a divider so you don't splash the electrics when you're filling up with water, you've got your RCD and all your habitation fuses in there. Oh, nice and convenient in one place. Now, if we take a look down the offside, you'll see once again how narrow the vehicle is compared with the cab. And then the first thing we come to is the gas locker. Now, that looks quite small, and that's because it just holds one 6 kilogram cylinder. Now, if that doesn't sound like very much, bear in mind that the main use of gas normally is heating, and this vehicle has a Webasto diesel-fired heater, 4 kilowatt blown air heater, as I say, running off the vehicle's fuel tank. So that takes away a lot of your need for gas. Habitation door, well, that, as we said, has no window, and it's not linked to the central locking either. But it does have a fly screen. Habitation windows, again, nice framed windows. And then down here, you've got a simple T-handle, just pull out for the waste water tank drain. And it's a nice big bore drain. Water tank itself, the wastewater tank is not insulated or heated. That's something you'd have to look at as an accessory. Something to talk to a dealer about if you're really serious about winter camping. But it is 100 litres capacity, so that's a good size. The garage has these good, easy to use handles and locks combined, and then it's a decent size. 730 millimetres wide, 1.07 metres high up to the slats of the bed above. You've got a light in there, 12 volt and 230 volt sockets. This door clips open so it doesn't blow in the wind, but the one on the other side can't do that because of the position of the boiler's flue. However, you have also got a sliding door to access the garage from inside the vehicle, so good all-round access into this space. I should also mention that this is a 3.5 tonne motorhome, 3,500 kilo gross vehicle weight. So anyone with a normal car licence in the UK can drive it. But unlike a lot of bigger motorhomes, there is masses and masses of payload on this vehicle. Even with the options fitted to this one, 880 kilos of payload. You'd have to go pretty mad at the wine shop on the way back from France to use all that up. And not only is this a good garage as it stands, but if you jump in, you can then push up the bed base, and now you've got 1.95 m maximum headroom, nearly 2 metres of headroom in the garage. 1.95 m. So the garage also has 12 volt and 230 volt power points, a small light on this side, but it doesn't come with any tie downs to secure your gear in there, so that's something you might need to think about. Just pack it tight enough so that it doesn't slide around. Anyway, you also get mountings for a bike rack on the back. Bike rack itself is something you'd have to negotiate with your dealer as a dealer fitted accessory, but they are the mountings themselves are already there. So you don't need to use this space for bikes if you don't want to. They could go on a rack on the back. Also on the back, you'll notice that there's a reversing camera. Now that comes as part of an expensive pack, the Plus pack, that gives you also the 9-inch touchscreen radio with DAB and Bluetooth. As I say, the reversing camera, and also the upgrade from a 130 PS engine to the 170 PS. Now, all that packaged together costs £3,000, so you'd probably think quite carefully about whether to add that. You'll also notice that there's an awning on the side, a 2-litre Omnis door. I think it's 3 metre long awning. Now that again is part of a pack, and that comes also packaged with the 140 watt solar panel on the roof. Those two options combined cost £1,300, so that's a more reasonable option. £1,300, probably something that most people want to go for. When you come into the motorhome, it's quite nice to find coat hooks on the door, so hang your jacket there, out of the way. And then the lounge area is probably what you'd expect of a small Continental van. In fact, it's quite similar to a lot of van conversions and other small low profiles. So you've just got half the net, that gives you 2 rear travel seats, and then you've got these swivel cab seats. Rear seat is quite firm, and it's just a tad high unless you've got reasonably long legs. It's probably just about right for me at 5'10", but if you're shorter, your legs might dangle a tiny bit. There is this step in the floor. The cab floor is higher. Front seats, of course, adjust for height. I've got this one as high as it'll go, and the table is just about okay at this level. I could probably do with it just a tiny bit lower, but we're talking really minuscule difference there. So it's a decent firm table fixed to the wall, and then you've got this slide out extension. So if you want an excuse, I can't do the washing up, dear, I'm trapped in the cab, I can't possibly get out. Well, it probably won't work, but it might be worth a try. No over cab sunroof, of course, because They've tried to keep the price down, but you do get a nice big roof light over the sort of entrance and dinette area as well. Artificial lighting isn't great. There's no reading lights, none in the cab, none over the travel seat, not even in the bedroom at the back, as we'll come on to later. You've got these ceiling fixings, a couple of those ceiling lamps, one sort of back towards the bedroom over the kitchen here and one over the lounge, and then a couple of little LED strips, again one over the kitchen, one over the dinette. So it's pretty basic in terms of interior lighting. You might be able to add some more if you're a competent DIYer, or get your dealer to do something about that if it bothers you. Blinds and fly screens, of course, just the simple flat type rather than the pleated ones, but they're okay. And then in the cab, you don't get cab blinds, you get these thin curtains that go around the cab, or alternatively, you also get an external silver screen that goes round over the windscreen and tucks in, secures with the cab door, so it goes right round the cab. But of course, being an external fitting, if it rains or worse, it snows overnight, you've got a sort of wet, soggy insulation screen to put away. But you have got the garage, so that's not a big bother. I'm not a fan of those, but hey ho, that's me. I'd probably get some internal screens to use because they're nice and cheap, and a lot cheaper than having your dealer fit cab blinds in the vehicle. And after all, this is a motorhome that's about keeping costs down. Keeping costs down, well, furniture is all flat, there's no beautiful curves in it, but it looks okay, and the light colouring of the wood does help with the ambience. And also you've got these white walls, pale carpet, that's maybe not quite so practical, but white ceiling as well, and pale grey fabrics. So all in all, it's quite a light environment. Despite the lack of the overcab sunroof, it is quite an airy feel. And because you've got the flat sides of a coach-built motorhome rather than the more curvy sides of a van conversion, it does feel that bit bigger inside than an equivalent 6-metre fixed bed van conversion would. One of the more unusual aspects of the front of this S514 layout is this cupboard just forward of the habitation door. Now, you might have expected to have a seat here. You'd often get a little extra inward facing seat in a lounge like this, but no, Chausson decided to put a cupboard here. Now, I suspect part of the reason for that is because the gas locker is underneath here on the outside, but also this makes a useful worktop. It's a TV station, you've got your aerial socket and mains and 12-volt sockets there as well. But it's also a surprisingly big locker, considering that the gas locker intrudes into it as well. Top hinged, but you've got a really big space in there, quite a useful bit of extra storage. It could even be extra worktop for the chef as well. And then above it, you've got a little book rack with elasticated straps so everything doesn't come flying out. The layout here is pretty much as we first saw in models like the Heimer van back in about 2005. So 6-metre transverse fixed bed, kitchen and washroom in the middle, half dinette. Now, this is your kitchen. Obviously quite compact because you've got a lot squeezed into just a 6-metre van. But you do have a little worktop flap by the door. You've got that extra surface over the other side of the door as well. The sink lid is just a loose cover, so you'll probably want to, well, you will want to store that for travel, because otherwise it could be a bit of a projectile. 2-burner hob with spark ignition, and then your fridge. Well, that's 87 litres. It's a Trigano branded fridge, 3-way gas, 12-volt and 230-volt, and you need to start it manually with a push button ignition for the gas function. It's a reasonable size, I suppose, for this sort of van, and it should be enough for 2 people, but it's not one of these big tall fridge freezers that we've got used to seeing even in quite modest motorhomes. Obviously the gangway is quite narrow at this point, but that is the nature of the beast. Obviously this is a narrower motorhome overall. good storage both down below and up top. These top lockers are a nice big size. You've got a good size soft closing cutlery drawer. You wouldn't perhaps expect soft closing at this price range, but soft close cutlery drawer. A couple of USB ports and a 230-volt socket there, so your kettle, well, you probably wouldn't want your kettle in case it gets knocked by the door, but you could use a mains appliance there. Now, the interesting thing about this layout is what comes next. Now, this butterfly bed concept is really clever, and it's probably the neatest, most innovative aspect of this whole motorhome, because the rest of it is pretty conventional. Not only have you got this space for a microwave, you've got a big cupboard underneath, which gives you a lot more storage for your kitchen or for extra clothes or whatever. Big cupboard, so it's practical for things like cereal packets, bigger stuff you can get in there. Over on the other side, you've got your wardrobe, which is sort of shirt or jacket length, but because the bed lifts up, you can get to the wardrobe from above or from the front. And not only that, but you've got internal access into your garage as well. That could be ideal if you want to use the garage area for dog cages. But of course the back end of the motorhome isn't just about storage, because this is your main bedroom. Simply fold the bed base back down again, with the mattress as well. Now, you do need a ladder, of course, to get into this bed, because it is relatively high. It's not a long ladder, it's not like climbing into an overcab Luton. Once you're up here, you can see you've got a decent amount of headroom. You've got an opening window and a roof vent, so plenty of ventilation. The bed, the actual mattress, is 1.9 metres long by 1.33 metres wide. But if you're tall, it's worth noting that the actual wall-to-wall measurement is 1.97 metres, so that should be plenty for most people. These lockers over the back don't really intrude, and they do give you some useful space for clothes, but lighting, artificial lighting for reading or anything, is very, very limited. You've just got a little light suspended underneath that corner cupboard. You'll probably sleep that way round, heads this end, because then you can sit up without fear of damaging the blind on the window, and you've got a nice blank wall to sit up against. But as I say, you won't be sitting up to read unless you get somebody to fit you some extra lights. And you have got a privacy curtain as well. Of course, it's always worth remembering that with a transverse bed layout like this, if you need the loo in the night and you're the person sleeping against the back wall, then you're going to have to climb over your partner as well as negotiate the ladder. Now, depending on your own dimensions and your fitness and how fun you think it might be to climb over your partner and how fun they'll think it'll be, well, that's one for you to decide whether it's acceptable. What you do get is a nice big comfy bed, much better than a bed made out of seats, in a van that is very petite. Come down the ladder, and fortunately the washroom is accessed by a tambour door, so the ladder doesn't get in the way. It does block access to the fridge a little bit, but you can always just whip the ladder out of the way if you want to. Another thing I noticed too is you can just about reach the Truma switches for the hot water system from bed, so that's quite a nice feature. If you wake up and think, oh, I need a shower this morning, you've got gas and electric functions for the boiler. Just flick that, wait 20 minutes, and you've got nice piping hot water for your shower. And the washrooms are pretty decent size, certainly better than you'd get in most van conversions of 6 metres long. You've got a tall cabinet for your toiletries in the corner, a big mirror that really does make it feel extra spacious in here, plenty of legroom on the toilet, roof vent and a clothes drying rail in the ceiling, decent lighting, And then when you want to shower, this is the clever bit, which we've seen, of course, many times before. This sort of swing wall arrangement is becoming more and more common in compact motorhomes and even some quite reasonably sized ones. And now you've got a really good sized shower. You've even got this shelf that you could use as a seat or somewhere to put your toiletries while you're showering. 2 drain holes, all plastic lined, so good for maintenance. Yeah, it's a really good shower. As you can see, it's quite a decent size in here, and I haven't obviously pulled the door around, so that gives you a couple of extra inches as well. But yeah, the shower head is not the tap, it's a separate unit. Yeah, really good shower for a small van. In fact, there's only 2 little things I will criticise. One is this catch, which I just have my slight concerns that isn't the most durable fitting, and maybe in a few years' time you'll be on to Chausson on their parts department for another one of those. But maybe that's just me. It just feels a little bit flimsy plastic to me. And the other thing is, why do manufacturers make the washroom door travel with a catch, Velcro, so that's not great either, but with a catch that holds the door open while you're travelling? Surely, because there are going to be the occasional whiff from a toilet area, surely you want your door closed when you're travelling. At which point we should probably take this little Chausson for a drive. But before we do, let's just have a look at the Ford Transit cab, because although Fiat have recently facelifted the Ducato, it's quite a minor facelift really, and I still prefer this Transit as somewhere to pilot a motorhome. Yeah, the steering wheel is a sort of car size, it's not like a bus, and crucially, unlike the Fiat, it adjusts for both reach and rake. You also seem to sit a bit lower in the Ford, a bit more of a car-like driving position. The seats adjust for height and the angle of the squab, and they've got adjustable lumbar support, and they've got 2 armrests apiece, so they're good cab seats, very comfortable for a long drive. Standard spec on this vehicle includes driver and passenger airbags, cruise control and cab air conditioning, as well as the heated and electrically adjustable twin lens door mirrors. Then if you go for the option pack that we described earlier, you get this Accent DAB radio. It's a 9-inch display across there, but the reversing camera doesn't use that display. It uses effectively a replacement for the rear view mirror, mounted where you'd expect the mirror to be. Otherwise, yeah, it's a good ergonomic driving position, a good ergonomic cab. You've got lots of storage, bins around, little glove box, you've got bottle holders on either end of the dash, you've got these cup holders in the top too. This little phone holder rather is perhaps a little bit spoilt by the radio unit, but hey. This one's a manual gearbox. Ford do a 6-speed automatic as well, but we'll talk more about the way it drives when we actually go out on the road. So, what's the little Ford like on the road? Well, gear change is nice and easy, but the thing you notice straight away is the 170 PS engine. I'm having to watch because it's a 40-mile-an-hour limit along here with average speed cameras, so I need to be gentle with the old throttle pedal. Don't want to collect any points on the licence. But, well, would you go for the 170 PS engine? It's not necessary. It really isn't on a van of this size, but it does make for a very effortless motoring, fewer gear changes, car-like almost acceleration. Yeah, it makes it a nice fun little thing to drive. But 130 PS engine will be absolutely fine in a little van like this. And you notice straight away too, we've got no rattles. Now, partly that's of course because we haven't got an oven going ding 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 in the background, but it's also because The Ford's got a little bit softer ride than the Fiat, so it's not encouraging all the furniture to squeak and rattle about. And with the Ford's refinement as well, because this is a nice refined power unit, it does motor along very, very quietly, which is nice. I mean, it's just a nice vehicle to drive. It's not big. It's van conversion size. Handles well because it's not over-bodied. It's got plenty of performance because it's not heavy. It's not trying to push a great big wide body or a big Luton through the air. Your visibility is good, both with these mirrors, and ironically, because it's right-hand drive with the layout still set up as it would be for left-hand drive, the window over on my left actually gives good visibility at junctions, whereas if you had a left-hand drive one, you'd be staring at the blank wall and the windowless door at some junctions, which wouldn't be so good. So yeah, it's just a good all-round package on the road, and I'd expect it to be pretty economical too, because again, it's light, and it's just not working that hard. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at van conversion sized vehicles, this is well worth considering as an alternative to a 6 metre fixed bed van conversion. So, what's my verdict on the Chausson S514 first line? Well, it's certainly a keen price, and it's got quite a lot on offer. The Ford cab is a big plus for me, and the storage and that clever butterfly bed arrangement at the back do add versatility to what is really quite a small motorhome. Of course, being a small motorhome, you do have compromises. The lounge isn't huge, and this bench is quite firm and upright, but you've got your cab seats that swivel around easily. Of course, you might just want to have a bit of a relax on the bed as well. Don't forget that that is an area that you can use in the day as well. The kitchen, of course, is a bit compromised. You've just got a 2-burner hob and then a microwave if you decide to add one in that area that's provided for it. Washroom though is good, and as I say, storage and payload are pretty amazing for such a small van. So if this van fits the bill for you with storage and payload as key priorities, and at a keen sort of 50 grand price tag, it's well worth a look. Of course, you might also want to take a look at our video of the Chausson S514 that we did recently, also a 6 metre van, but on a Fiat, and a very, very different concept to this one. Or why not take a look at our Auto Trail Expedition coach build. Now there's a video of another keenly priced brand new range for this year that is again very, very different to this little Chausson. So there's plenty of choice in the market as ever. So keep watching our videos and you'll soon come to the van that is perfect for you. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to our channel. And thank you for watching.